what to talk about.
You're a good man. You're fun to razz. You're a good man. He's coming home? What have you done there?
Coming up on today's show, we'll talk Joe Biden, Delta, Olympics, all that and more coming up on the Wade and Carter Show.
What does that sound?
Back off for a second. Just jump right into it. Here we go.
What did it fix itself?
Huh?
It fixed itself?
Apparently.
What was that?
Joe Biden was running our board, stuttering.
Bye, Lee.
Hey, good morning. I don't know exactly what happened
Good
at the start
morning.
of the show, but
Good.
Joe Biden moment.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm excellent.
It's Tuesday, your favorite day of the week.
It's my absolute least favorite day of the week, and it's just like when a law enforcement officer tells you that bad things happen on the nights with full moons. I didn't believe it, but I've had so many tell me
Got
that
pulled over speed last night.
No, they say it's uncanny. It's uncanny that something will happen and there will be a full moon that leads to the problem. And it's just Tuesdays are notoriously slow news days. And so newspapers save stuff for Sunday. And then there's usually a little spillover to Monday. And then by Tuesday, there's really no news. There's nothing in today's paper, by the way. You don't have to read it.
Let's do this.
Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at Deerland Feed. It's 75 degrees in Victoria with a national, like a heat advisory, heading to a high of 95.
Heat index pushing to 109 today.
Yeah, it just really seems hot.
Well, summer's here. Finally.
Summertime.
Really?
Do you ever see that Andy Griffith episode where they have Barney in the choir?
Probably not.
And there's a guy with a great voice who stands in the back.
I wasn't a big fan of that show.
Oh, my goodness. That explains part of your warpedness.
That might.
You guys remember how Barney's out there and Andy keeps going, this is a super sensitive mic, Barney. Sing lower. And Barney starts singing. He's lower. And next thing you know, Barney's just barely whispering. And Andy goes, that's it. Oh, that sounds good. So that night when they cut to the solo, Barney steps up and Andy looks at him and goes, low, sing low to that mic. And the guy in the back has this beautiful baritone voice. And Barney just finally goes, wow, listen to the way I sound. And he's just doing his arms, everything he's done. His head's done. His hair's all hanging down. He's like, thank you. They completely owns it as if it were he, and he did nothing. Lots of people out there just got a good memory. I guarantee it. They remember that.
Kind of like the show.
Thanks, folks. Drive safely. Have a good day.
Yeah, we're out of here.
That's all we have on a Tuesday.
Rena Scherer, good morning to you. Lisa Pools in, Scott Snow, Chris Conrad, Judge Posey, good morning. Diane Tippett, Sheriff Louderback.
Hello, Rena. Hello, Judge Posey. Hello, Sheriff Louderback.
Jennifer Rayburn. Yeah, the Wade and Carter remix this morning. Not sure what
people who get elected listen to Wade and Carter. That ought to tell you something right there. They want to know what the small minority of true idiots think. That would be me and you.
That would be us.
How do we reach the average idiot?
Marvin Vickers, good morning. Justin Glass, Bobby Leister. Already looking forward to Caldo tomorrow. And the Leisterometers hold a steady at 1,004. Matt Boucher, good morning. Rob Moore Knipling. Good feedback on Matt Boucher's visit with us yesterday.
He was great.
Always appreciate that. The listeners do as well.
Super fine gentleman. There's Roy Gutierrez.
Yeah,
Say it.
Good morning, Roy.
That's well done.
Thank you.
Roy.
The Iceman is in.
Raimundo.
Kendra Douglas, Stephen Kidder, David Glass, Andy Ria Jr., Madeline Mayer, good morning. Amanda Smith King. BJ Nelson, H.R. Mallory says the only thing worse than a full moon is someone using the Q word during your shift.
Q. What would Q be? The Q word.
I don't know.
Quit?
I think I know. It's quiet.
Oh, sure is quiet today. Right. It's like saying, don't shank it. Ah!
Exactly. Patrick Strauss, good morning. Deidre Arnold Johnson is in. Jeff Fonseca says his hand melted on the steering wheel. Funky's back. Where's Funky been?
I don't know. And I don't think because of his absence, I'm not sure we can give him the normal amount of love that we always do. You know, there's a penance to be paid.
Yeah, that's right. So that's all you get.
Radio Catholic, Radio Gaga. We're going to put some guilt on you. There will be some, Hail Marys or something involved.
Karen Webb, Scott Tomko, Ricky King says you're going to have a quiet shift and is horrible in the emergency services field. Yeah.
Ricky, thanks. Yeah,
Yeah, and you know what? The same thing is true when I was broadcasting baseball games. Game would be clipping along. We'd be an hour in, and we already be in the seventh inning. Man, this game's really moving. Breaks on. 3-hour baseball game.
It's a great jumping off point for the Astros last night. I turned on the TV. They're in Seattle. So we went to the game on Sunday, and it was over about, 4:30 in the afternoon. And I kind of fell for the Stros. Had to get on a plane, fly to Seattle, and they played last night.
Yeah, it's tough getting on that charter plane with decent meals and then having to sleep in a first-class hotel when you get to Seattle.
Probably a steak on the plane, to be honest. Probably really had a nice meal on the plane. And but still, flew, disembark. You have to be at the ballpark. You're on the road.
Got a 6-0 lead in the first inning.
They go nuts. Alvarez has RBIs. Correa has RBIs. Tucker hits a home run, 2-run bomb. Like in the second, Maldonado added a home run. Anyway, it's in like the second or third inning. It's like 8-0. Astros are cruising. I go to bed. I mean, it's 9:45.
7-0 in the fourth.
7-0 in the fourth. I go to bed. Was it ever 8-0?
No, it was 7-0. Then it was 7-3. Then it was 8-3. Then it was 8-6.
And they lose 11-8.
Yeah.
They gave up a triple with the bases juiced. I think they gave up a home run.
4 in the 9th, 4 in the 8th. That was all it needed. That was all Seattle needed.
11-8. So the Astros lose a softball game. The bullpen wasn't available. They used a lot of bully against. He had Brooks out there. He hit a guy. And yada yada yada. That's it's a very very casual and pedestrian baseball.
And Seattle's not a bad team, 55-45. So
no, but
struggling.
Their home record
game back of the wild card record.
Their home record's the same as ours, and their bullpen's been good lately.
So
Stanek finally got the loss, and blah blah blah
blah blah blah blah blah.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Olympics, supposedly the least watched Olympics in decades.
Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares about watching a bunch
you're
of
almost having to go back to a time when not every household had a TV to find less people watching the Olympics.
Well, think about it. There's no
Terry Murray.
By his third Olympics, I was tired of watching Michael Phelps, who was a dope smoking paid corporate spokesperson. That's what he was by the second or third Olympics. The days of Mark Spitz,
he didn't smoke dope till after his fourth Olympics.
Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
But still, you're just like, dude, they're spoiled corporate spokespeople now. And
I don't know if Phelps are.
And by the way, they're not the best athletes in the world. There's people at every level that are better than them at what they do. So you just find yourself going, nah. I don't care anymore. I used to love to watch the swimming because it seemed like every Olympics there was a new, at least Olympic record, if not a world record. But I did see a deal the other day that said if the University of Texas were a country, it would rank 17th all time in medals for the Olympics.
But
a lot of swimming. A lot of swimming.
Well, but they also get swimmers from all over the world too.
Right. You and I think, have got allergies going, and I don't know. It's usually a pretty good barometer. We have different. Ash and I are allergic to different things. I think all this water on the ground has increased a lot of stuff.
Ricky King says, when U.S. athletes are kneeling for the anthem, I don't care to watch the Olympics.
Yeah, I don't. That's it. I'm not boycotting it. I'm not against it. I just certainly have not sought it out at all.
And how much is it that they're in Tokyo, so everything's happening a day ahead of time, right? And because you cross the international date line to get there, and the time change, it makes it tough to watch because not a lot of the events are being live telecast. That's always a problem I've had.
Did you see that deal where South Korea got in a little bit of a pickle over some, they called it inexcusable graphics they used on their Olympic broadcast? When they introduced the team from Ukraine, they showed a picture of Chernobyl. When they introduced like Norway, they showed a salmon. I mean,
who was doing this?
The South Korea. South Korea thought it was funny, and they've now apologized, but I thought it was kind of funny. I thought, okay, they just kind of played on the stereotypes.
Well, Canada had a picture of the U.S. flag next to Japan on some graphic on one of the news channels talking about medal standings or something.
Like they were combined?
No, it was just a screw up. They had Great Britain's flag for the U.S. They had the German flag next to Great Britain. I mean, it was a mess. And I didn't think I always thought England, I didn't think they combined Great Britain. I always thought England, Scotland, everybody won their own medals, right?
They don't, huh?
I thought so. I don't know.
Fonseca says he woke up at 3 a.m. with women's soccer.
Yeah, I don't know what it. Yeah, well, because that's when the games are on, right? But I don't know what it is this year. Maybe because it's 2021, and the Olympics should have taken place in 2020.
No,
and I'm not conditioned.
Nah, that's not it. So didn't the girl we liked, Simone?
Simone Biles. She's out. Yeah, she's out with an injury. The U.S. Olympic team did not medal, I believe, in the women's gymnastics team event.
Basketball got beat the other night by France. It's anarchy.
And I'm not cheering against. I'm not cheering against the U.S., but it's the smugness that has surrounded U.S. Olympic basketball since the NBA first went to the Olympics has never worn off.
I agree.
And it's kind of nice to see them put in their place, but it also shows you how well the rest of the world has and how quickly they've caught up to playing good quality basketball at the Olympics. The U.S. can no longer just put a team together and expect to waltz through everybody.
Exactly. James Kerr says the U.S. got a gold medal in Taekwondo. I struggled, it was funny to me, the asterisk that used to go next to basketball when it was truly still amateur basketball at the U.S. level. But there is no excuse. There's no excuse for any assemblage of any NBA players to lose.
Although you mean to lose to NBA players from another country?
Right, but there's just not that many NBA players from another country.
No.
Wait. Who hacked Peter McNally's account?
He says the skateboards are amazing.
Oh, come on, Pete. There was one where a guy goes down a ski jump and does like a double backflip with a spin on a bicycle. Now he ate it and slid like 100 yards down this ramp, but that's not an Olympic sport.
Apparently it is. They're giving gold medals for it.
That's part of the deal. They've kind of dumbed it down. They've kind of dumbed down the Olympics.
They've evolved to attract a younger audience, but what they fail to realize is the younger audience isn't watching TV.
Correct. Or buying products.
No. They're following that kid on Instagram who just won the gold medal from Japan in skateboarding. 14 years old, I think.
These guys, like Caden tells me about a kid that's got, pick a number, 50 million views, on Facebook, on Twitter. One of them, TikTok, YouTube. On YouTube, kid's got 50 million views.
Crazy.
Yeah. Hope he's got a good message.
Fox says table tennis is good TV. And then there's netball. There's some sports in there a little bit obscure. Waiting for disc golf to become an Olympic sport.
578-6300. That's Allen's Record Service. Reach out if you need them. Try not to need them. I've never known a company more adamant and more hopeful that you don't need them. When I talk to them, they're like, man, I just wish people would be safe. I wish they'd slow down just a little and watch their surroundings. And if you're pulling a trailer, realize that it carries a wide swath. 578-6300. That's Allen's Record Service. The VCS companies are our banner sponsor because they define quality in this region, whether you need two-way radios on a ranch, or you need FirstNet if you're a first responder, or you need surround, surveillance, security. It goes on and on and on. If it communicates with you or authorities, reach out to the VCS companies and let them help you. They also have an AT&T retailer, the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, right there on Kerr Boulevard, just inside the loop off Main Street. Chesnick Furniture for 101 years, serving, literally being of service to Victoria's fine families. Their furniture, their bedding, their Tempur-Pedic bedding, they have all the
accoutrement
that you may want to have around your home to make Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Reach out to Bobby Leon and his family and let them help your family feel more at home in your house.
You'll always do better at Chesnick.
Absolutely. And then today is only Tuesday, but a great day to have. I had a Compuesta yesterday, the Wade and Carter Compuesta. Tomorrow is Caldo Wednesday. Today is a great day to had lunch with Ben Zeller yesterday. Judge Zeller had the dietary beef enchiladas because he had charro beans and he only ate a little bit of his rice. But it was a beautiful, there was just like the bean juice was lapping over the cup and the grease was kind of around the edge and then the burnt cheese right on the edge of the plate. It was phenomenal. I gained 3 pounds looking at it, but it was great. Get by Veracruz today because
Tomorrow
it's just quite simply the best Mexican food on the planet.
Absolutely.
So you'll like it.
Peter Rinaldi says they attract more sponsor dollars with skateboarders.
That's
Exactly
true.
right. So that's a big part of it is the money that follows. Janelle Sarles says she became disoriented because of all the negative publicity even before the Olympics began. And there was a lot of that too. Sure. And Fonzie says disc golf won't happen because they're all stoned.
Right, but aren't the skateboarders all stoned too? What was that redheaded dude's name that was like the X Games guy that everybody loves so much?
Sean
Stoner.
He was a snowboarder, I think.
Yeah. Now some of those kids are great when they go down that tube and he's doing a triple axel with a double Lindy. Yeah, crazy stuff.
HR says check out the Vine School Facebook page for a great Veracruz review.
Also, HR along those same lines.
Sean White, thank you, Iceman.
Sean White, thanks, Ice.
We were close.
Well, the guy made his living on ice, so Sean knows.
Yeah. So.
And look, so did Jennifer Rayburn.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We had half it. We had the first name. That's all that matters. Carrot Top.
I talked to Jennifer the other day. She was white trash. How about I had a doctor friend that so like my dad. My dad was a guy that if you asked him, "Are you superstitious?" My dad would say, "No, that's dumb. It's illogical. I'm not superstitious." But I'd be walking along with my dad, and I would notice that he was consciously like skipping the cracks on the sidewalks. And I asked my dad, I said, "Dad, you're not superstitious?" And he said, "No. Why? What makes you think that?" I said, "Why do you not step on those cracks?"
Doesn't want to break your brother's back.
And my dad said, "Well, I'm not superstitious, but I mean, there's no reason to step on a crack if you don't have to." So subtly in the back of his mind, somebody had conditioned him that, Now, some of those things make perfect sense. Like you don't walk under a ladder because the guy on the ladder can drop something on your dome. That makes
or you could
sense.
Knock the ladder over.
It makes perfect sense, right? Yeah. Some of them just don't make sense. Like you'll watch certain baseball players. I love to watch them. Zach Greinke, for example, always walks off the mound very slowly. He always walks everywhere very slowly. But then there's guys that run to the mound. McCullers, for a guy, is a guy that'll hustle to the mound. He's ready to play. But a lot of them, most of them, do not step on the white line. They don't.
I used to.
Did you say that? But it was a conscious thing. People were conscious about it. Yeah. But I knew a surgeon that when I knew him, he was basically on an emergency type basis. He was pushing 80 years of age. And he said, "Carter, it is uncanny how often." He said, "I never praised a day before it was through in the OR." He said, "It was unbelievable how you'd be doing like a routine appendectomy. And a nurse would say, 'Well, doctor, that sure has gone well.' And at that moment, the appendix would burst and we'd have an abscess. We'd have issues." Yeah. And he said, it got to the point that nurses would look at each other and say, "Just don't say anything in Dr. Lewis's OR because you're just going to make bad things happen."
Well, I mean, same thing with Cheryl with labor and delivery, right? You never said it was a slow day because all hell would break loose.
50 kids come in.
And full moons were always
right.
Always not good for labor and delivery units. You think anything, speaking of not good, the Washington Post had this story and that surprised me a little bit. A, because it's Jeff Bezos' newspaper, right? And he's all about hating Trump.
Right.
But they're trotting out a story that accused our president, 46, Joe Biden, of basically pulling the same behavior or same type of behavior that got Donald Trump impeached. And they're saying that in order to finally broker that gas pipeline from Russia to Germany, and they had to get the Ukraine to commit to allowing it.
Right.
That in order to do so, Joe Biden promised the Ukrainian president, Zelensky, that he could have a White House visit if he accepted the deal.
I mean, it'd be like, yippee. Thanks, Joe. I'm on my way.
I mean, they impeached Donald Trump for strong-arming Zelensky. And the Dems are going to give the Dems will give Joe Biden a free pass because they control the House and the Senate.
And because when it comes to politics, nothing ever exposes the left like their hypocrisy. We point it out every day. Yeah. It's just that easy.
But I take it a step further in my brain because who is involved as a consultant with energy companies in the Ukraine?
Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden.
Nothing about energy.
No,
nothing
about gas companies, and he's getting $1 million a year to serve on the board.
Which, by the way, in the global picture and in today's economy, Hunter was kind of short selling himself. I mean, Hunter, honestly, if you got access to the vice president, which essentially is access to the left ear of the president of the United States, it ought to be worth $5 or $10 million a year. I'm not exaggerating. That's just what a schlep Hunter was. They were like, "Shut up! Here's $1 million." Literally. I mean, you're talking about billions and billions.
Any more than that, it might have been a little obvious. It was kind of an amount that let him fly under the radar, but allowed him to still have, his teenage Asian hookers and all the cocaine.
You can only snort so much coke. Yes. That's a legit point. I'm sure.
Says quid pro Joe is at it again.
But why doesn't? Here's what gets me, James, and I'm not being silly here. Why doesn't the left say, "Yeah, that doesn't look too good. That doesn't look too good"? I mean, our friend Peter McNally will say, "Well, that's just Joe, just negotiating, just getting things done for the United States." It's not right. It's illegal. And it's exactly what they accused Trump of doing that they've done now twice, at least.
Impeached him for it.
Right. Yeah, over a phone call. Remember that? Trump had a phone call to the Ukraine.
So you can put a condition like that on there.
Great question.
But we can't. Yeah, Ricky King says, why don't the Republicans stand up and do something?
So where is John Cornyn?
What can they do?
Where is John Cornyn on this? He is a long-tenured United States senator from Texas. Why doesn't John Cornyn scream from the rafters? Is anybody watching the president mumbling his way through Ukraine? Using the allure of his office for gain? Why doesn't that happen? That's a legit question. I don't understand why that doesn't happen. Are they all complicit? Are they all in on it? At that level, are they all actually one united party against the people of the United States? Are we actually in the middle of a communist regime where they placate you by telling you we're Republicans, we're Democrats, we hate them, they hate us? By the way, the machine just rolls on. I don't know. I think it's quite plausible that complicity apathy is complicity. Where is John Cornyn? Where's Ted Cruz on this issue? And I even like Ted a little bit. Where's Ted?
I'm just curious as to how much is getting aligned into Hunter Biden's pockets on this. I mean, knowing the way that, I mean, let's not, I mean, okay, Russia's bullying the Ukraine. The Ukraine isn't exactly a saintly statehood here. They're an oligarchy like Russia, just smaller and with less influence on the world stage.
What they claim to be more of a democracy.
Yes,
right?
they claim it, but
they don't like Russia.
No, they don't like Russia, and so that makes them good guys. But their leaders aren't exactly up front with everything. And I believe they took a page right out of Putin's playbook, and those that were in power grabbed all the infrastructure and gave it to their friends for graft, and their friends are now all billionaires, and the Ukrainian people.
I agree.
You know, but, I mean, it's a Russian oligarchy in a smaller version is what it is.
And by the way, with your legal and covert world travels, it's very rare that I get to correct you on something. It's not the Ukraine. It's just Ukraine. It's not the Alberta, you know. By the way, we welcome all of our friends from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. What's the weather going to be in Alberta, Canada today?
Probably around 90. Sunny and warm.
I guarantee it. Now, is it humid there or is it dry?
It's dry.
Okay, that's
Your
good.
lips will crack and
it's a dry heat.
Bleed today. But here's the thing. Knowing that, you've got to wonder if Hunter Biden's going to be making a little bit of money off this thing somehow. Because
he doesn't need it. He's an artist.
Well, he doesn't need. Yeah.
$500,000
That's
a
true.
painting.
I forgot about that.
Which comes with a signed painting and the opportunity to meet his dad.
But somehow that's not illegal, right?
That's perfectly fine.
I don't know.
It is interesting that if anybody is satisfied with the way our country is going, they must be very, very simple people.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting with this pipeline is this is a pipeline that Donald Trump shut down when he was president. To me, it's just another example of Joe Biden undoing everything that Donald Trump did, because what people don't realize, this pipeline, I believe, is going under the Baltic Sea.
Yeah.
And so eventually Russia will be able to bypass the Ukraine to send gas to Germany.
They
bypass Ukraine to send gas to Germany. And because Ukraine gets pretty much all their gas from Russia,
they can cut the Russia can
cut the Ukraine off
and go right to the Germany.
Yeah.
And by the way, what is Russia doing selling gas to Germany? That's really kind of scary.
Well, because we can't process it and then send it on a container.
Because you know what's interesting about that? Had Hitler had more fuel, we might all be speaking the German. A lot of people say that if Hitler hadn't had syphilis and tried to fight a two-front war, we'd all be speaking German by now.
He was really kind of fun. A three-front war, if you really think about it.
Yeah, but
people forget about what he was trying to do in Africa.
Right, with the Panzers.
Yeah. So, but
with the Rommel, the Desert Fox.
Be speaking German, and our second and third languages would be Italian and Japanese.
There's a great story about.
I even the most interesting part of that, though, to me, is the fact that the Washington Post exposed this.
Yeah, which is a liberal rag.
Yeah.
Interesting story. If you ever have the chance to read about Erwin Rommel, his wife in later years told the story about Rommel was never really bought in as a Nazi. Rommel was just a soldier. And
well, of course he said that. He needed to plead for his life.
Well, but it didn't work because Hitler's the one that killed him. He made the comment that told his wife, they will send a car for me, and I'll be going to a meeting, and the meeting will never happen. There'll be an accident along the way. And sure enough, Erwin Rommel died in a car wreck, and it was they took him out and killed him.
Desert rat.
Yep. Fox.
Or Fox, yeah. Well, I mean, that's how Hitler saw him, as a desert rat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
you
got to think, though, if his strategies would have been employed in Europe, maybe a different outcome.
Absolutely. Anyway, I'm one that believes that at that time,
But everything happens for a reason.
With that great generation, I truly believe that World War II, the outcome was a God-driven thing, and now I don't know where we fit into that. I can tell you that the Atzenhofer dealership should fit into your next car purchase.
Yeah, they'll help you fit into
There's
your
a
next
little
car.
I don't know if it's called a Cruise or a Volt. It's like a little bitty car. Kind of looks almost like a smart car. And it was turquoise, and it's sitting out in front of the new truck section. It's a cool looking little car. Like bright, like the blue on the top of that where it says waiting. It's that color blue. So, yeah. James Kerr says, Ash got it. Are you insinuating I didn't get it, Mr. Kurth? Atzenhofer.com. Since 1926, Victoria's dealer, Chevy, Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi.
Any other model you want?
Yeah, they'll work on all makes and models. They'll service them all, paint them all. They can match any paint, any brand of vehicle. Reach out to them. White Trash Services, White Trash 550-1826. White Trash Services is your source in the county for great trash pickup, whether you need a roll off,
a dumpster, weekly trash collection. That threw you off.
He said he'll send a car. Nice.
Not for me.
Wow. Just get in the car. So.
550-1826. Also, White Trash now doing demolition and site cleanup anywhere. They can do that in the city.
They can do that. So you get if you buy a lot and you want to get a raise, R-A-Z-E, raise the building off that lot, White Trash can come out. They'll tear it down, haul it off, and leave you a nice, clean piece of property. Razor IT Solutions, you want a nice, clean Facebook presence, nice, clean website, a nice, seamless transition between your money collection on your website over to your QuickBooks. JP Hull and his team can do all that. You're like, no, that didn't sound like any big deal. One day you're over here, you're collecting money for T-shirts, and the next day you're over here and your QuickBooks don't match up, and then the IRS shows up, and you're like going, I wish I would have hired JP Hull and the folks at Razor IT Solutions. Or you get hacked, and all of your credit card information goes all over the world. And
or you can pull all your data and help you make sense of it.
Yeah,
so that you know what to do with it. You could have some qualified sales leads in your data that you don't know you have.
It can help you target your marketing.
Absolutely.
The law offices of Stephen Kidder, whether you want to have an adoption, a trust, will, probate,
you want to adopt Steve Kidder.
If you'd like to adopt Steve Kidder, the price is nominal. In fact, he would co-op it where you could go a week at a time with Steve. You could adopt him. He's accepting up to 4 adoption families at this time. And then the complete series of retailers. There's going to be more. I know it's coming. There's one right here on Red River, right next to Woodlawn Bowl, that has wraps and paninis. The paninis are so good. Smoothies. They have some supplements and chips, and they have fresh like juices that are, detoxifiers and all types of stuff. Then you go up to the north side.
They have these little like protein balls, like cheese balls.
Yeah.
And all sorts of different flavors are pretty good.
They are. And you go up to the north side, and then they've got a whole slew, as my grandmother would say, just a slew of supplements and vitamins and things that you need up there. So
minerals.
Reach out to them. James Kurth wants to know, will Steve Kidder adopt him?
No, not a chance.
No.
So how quickly things change? Yeah, I think, was it yesterday or maybe it was Friday's show? We were talking a little bit about the situation Aaron Rodgers found him in, and could be on the move to Denver. I think it was yesterday morning show.
It was.
And then like mid-morning,
he's going to stay in.
He's staying in Green Bay, and just like that, the odds of Green Bay winning the Super Bowl. If you would have placed this bet last week in Vegas. You'd be sitting there going, wow, I like my 2,800.
Plus
2,800 for Green Bay to win the Super Bowl on Sunday. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers says he's staying in Green Bay. You know what the odds are now? Plus 1,400.
Wow.
Their odds improved 2 times, twofold. So if you place that bet Sunday, you must really be liking it because you got in at plus 2,800.
People forget the guy was the MVP last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he is 37, but Tom Brady shows you can do it in your 40s. I mean, he could have a couple more seasons at just top level.
Iceman says, "Go Pack, go."
You know, it's funny because it's very difficult for any team to get more run out of a long time ago than the Cowboys and the Packers. I mean, the Packers haven't done anything in a while. Have they?
They've won Super Bowls a lot more recently than the Cowboys.
Well, yeah, they have. But how many have they won? I'm really now I'm asking. I just kind of threw that out there like I knew what I was talking about. Didn't Rodgers? Did he win 2 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Troy Aikman or Aaron Rodgers better quarterback?
Rodgers.
Aikman. Favre was better than both of them.
Favre was a leader. I'm not sure he's a better quarterback. Career interception leader, right?
True.
2011, last time they won a Super Bowl.
Let's just say that if I had to have it for one game, I might take Aaron Rodgers too. Boy, Troy Aikman was fun to watch.
No, I love Troy Aikman. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, a couple Super Bowls for the Cowboys. It was awesome, but
3.
a couple, 3. So
Could have won. He could have won about 6 if Jerry Jones would have left him alone.
yeah, well, no kidding. But we
digress.
Yeah. But apparently he showed up at training camp over the weekend for the Cowboys, and I thought, oh, they're fine. They need a backup quarterback.
Wow.
Probably. I'm not going to lie. Troy Aikman at 50 some odd years of age, probably better than some of the scrubs the Cowboys have trotted out there as third stringers in recent years.
No doubt. Of course, he's just one concussion away from waking up next year.
Yeah, that's why he wouldn't. Because of that problem that he had.
He got hit so much. I think he lives in constant concern about his long-term future.
Yeah, I bet a lot of those guys do.
Not to mention being in the booth with Joe Buck might make you wonder about your sanity.
I don't think so. Still a very good.
You like Joe Buck,
He's a
don't
good
you?
player.
He's a spare.
No, he's not.
Living off his dad.
Jealousy over here. Spare that makes $8 million a year. Or whatever.
Oh, so now we're basing credibility on income. Okay. All right. I don't like him.
Fox ain't going to pay him what they pay him if he can't do the job. He's a good play-by-play guy. I don't like him when he starts getting into things that he shouldn't be getting into and bringing things into it. You're a play-by-play announcer.
Right.
You're the play-by-play.
Well, he's become kind of a cross between himself and Bob Costas. Bob's become a social commentary guy more than a sports announcer. He's always looking. And Brent Musburger did this too. They're always looking for the story that's bigger than the game itself. Can't the game be big enough? I don't know. It is funny when you listen to them because most people don't listen to announcers the way we do. They just carry bump to bump. They don't listen the way we do.
And that's my biggest gripe with Joe Buck is he talks over too many moments.
Right.
Whereas others don't.
Brings up the shortstop, Juan Soto, only 21 years
still
old.
Only 21. Funky says Aikman got hit, but David Carr.
True. I think I heard the Hall of Famer come in.
There he is.
Esme must be getting up early these days because I don't know what Ralph's doing here at 7:43 in the morning.
HR says people love to hate Joe Buck, but he brings in viewers even if they just want to complain.
Yeah, good point.
And that drives ratings.
In that regard, there probably should be the Howard Cosell Award for like the most annoying announcer. Cosell was such a genius, he was.
Cosell was probably the most polarizing announcer of all time because
the greatest thing to be.
You either loved him or you hated him. There was nobody in the middle with Howard Cosell. Nobody said, he's okay.
It's great though because he was a genius.
Yeah.
What about if you go back? Was it Pat Summerall who was with John Madden?
Yes.
What a great team. They were great. And I remember when I was a kid, it was a big deal that, Pat Summerall's an alcoholic. Like, dude, he's just a guy that quit drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, big deal. You don't know you're an alcoholic till you quit.
Sure, I guess.
A lot of people drink. They're not alcoholics. It's when they quit. I was an alcoholic.
Adam Godfrey, good morning.
Which is worse, reformed drinker, reformed smoker? Reformed smokers are the worst, yeah. I'm glad I never had that vice, but there, when you find somebody that used to smoke, those are nasty. I don't say that to people, and I don't smoke, But I do find it interesting. I do really, honestly find it interesting that somebody would take a leaf, dry it, roll it up in a piece of paper, and smoke it. If it ain't going to give you a buzz, why would you do that? I mean, I have more respect for the guy that smokes a joint than the guy that smokes a cigarette.
And tobacco is still an important cash crop to this country.
Which is one reason that, a pack of cigarettes would cost about 85 cents if it wasn't for all the taxes. The government makes a
and all the additives they throw into it. Tobacco on its own, probably not as dangerous as they make it seem, right?
Correct. It's
the nicotine and all the chemicals that go into it that make it a whole lot worse than what it actually is.
The things that make it addictive are the things that, but it is, don't
get me wrong, sucking smoke into your lungs certainly can't be good for your lungs.
No, I've seen cross sections of, autopsied lungs are ugly.
But I can't imagine just tobacco in its natural state if you dried it and smoked without all the things that cigarette companies put into it.
Let's meet in the tent, in the teepee.
So, but I'm just,
I can't think of anything any more hypocritical.
It doesn't get you high. That's the problem with it these days.
There can't be much more hypocritical than the bipartisan, the government saying, okay, we're going to acquiesce to the people that hate lung cancer and all that, and we're going to make these companies put a warning on the box. We'll show them. They've got to put a warning on the box, and then the government taxes that product and makes money off of it.
But doesn't make it illegal.
Right. That, to me, the hypocrisy is it's kind of like saying we could fix the Ford Pinto, but it's cheaper just to pay the lawsuits. It's a very, very similar thing. I don't understand. I mean,
if they outlawed cigarettes,
people would be out of work.
The government would lose a ton of revenue,
right?
And nobody would stop smoking. They would just buy them for cheaper on the black market.
Now, see, I don't agree with that. I think people would stop smoking, by and large. I do. I think by and large, they would
stop smoking.
They would stop smoking. Now, Peter McNally says Meredith and Cosell were better than
Summerall and Madden.
Summerall and Madden, but they were maybe more entertaining. But Summerall and Madden usually gave you some insights to the game. Madden was the modern day guy, bam, who let you know he's the guy that started drawing stuff, and he's the guy that led you ultimately to a guy like Tony Romo, who tells you what the play is.
Actually, Howie Meeker was the first guy I ever saw draw something for hockey.
Yeah,
but John Madden was probably the guy that made the analyst position cool and entertaining.
Right.
Frank Gifford was pretty good at it too.
Yeah.
But he wasn't quite the same. Meredith and Cosell were entertaining half the time because Meredith was drunk at the booth.
You think he was?
I think he was.
You think he really was cocktailing?
Yeah, a little bit.
H.R. Mallory, now this is a first because this is like a double negative, okay? H.R. Mallory types on our program, happy 12th birthday, Brooke, which would be Brooke Bloschke,
yes,
who listens to the show. But not only do you and I not do birthday wishes, we would never acknowledge a secondhand birthday wish in the comments section of the show. Therefore, Brooke Bloschke, no way that we would say, happy birthday, Brooke.
Happy birthday, Brooke.
Hope you're doing great, babe. Happy birthday. We would never do that because that's like a double negative. Yeah.
Chris Conner says $12 plus per pack of cigarettes in Canada, and people still smoke.
It is an amazing thing if you think about it, Chris. But isn't it?
Is that the addictive properties that are doing that?
Is it the height of hypocrisy that your government, on one hand, says we're going to teach them a lesson? They've got to, and they find like the HR Reynolds, those they have to put the ads on there. Remember that cigarette smoking?
Canada's even worse. Canada has like graphic pictures of what smoking can do to you.
That lady, I used to smoke 3 packs a day. She's got the little thing, the talking thing. They try to scare you straight.
Yeah.
But then they collect money on the backside.
And then supposedly that money goes into healthcare, but it never does.
That's a lie.
It ends up in the general fund somewhere.
Just like the Texas lottery, where we're just, does anybody have time out there to look up the lottery commission and see how much money they really give to
Well,
education?
they put it right on the website, but I think didn't they change that law and it just goes into the general fund?
Well, of course they did, because they
because they can say they're still putting that money. They can give if let's just throw a figure out there, $500,000 just for easy math.
sure.
Lottery sales generate $500,000 for education. That can go to the general fund, and the government can always say, "Well, we're giving $500,000 to education, and they're covered," right? That's how they get around
That's
that
crazy.
stuff. Yeah.
Wait, you want to get around that stuff called interest? Reach out to Terry Murray at Motto Mortgage.
Nice.
541-5454. Terry will help you lower your payment. When she lowers your payment, folks, she's not lowering the amount you owe in your house. You owe 150 grand on your house, but you're in at 6%. Now you owe 150 grand on your house and you're in at 3%. The savings is all interest. You've worked hard to have good credit. You've worked hard to pay for your home. Now take advantage of historic low interest rates. Refinance your home. It'll cost you, I'm making up a number, Terry, don't hold me to it. By the time you do inspections and all that, $3 or $4 grand. It'll cost you to refinance your home.
Probably your typical closing costs are still involved.
Roll it in. Roll that into the note. Instead of owing 150, now you owe 156, but you're only paying 2% interest instead of 6, and your payment goes down.
And here's the other thing: with the money you save, because your payment drops,
you can buy a new car.
You could cover those closing costs in probably 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I want to be that guy. I wish I could do that.
Want to be that guy?
I want to be that guy that has the radio voice. A new car. I know I can't do it. It really upsets me. I want to be that guy that they go, or I've always wanted to be that guy that you go, that guy sounds like you ought to be on the radio. Not like, oh, that's that dude on the radio that can't talk.
That's that dude on the radio.
Hey, good morning.
You've got that one down pat.
Terry Murray, 541-5454. I'm a winner at being a loser. Went services, went generators, went solar panels, electrical work, plumbing work, emergency work, remodels, new sales, everything. Reach out to Went Services for all of your needs.
Solar power.
Amanda Smith King put money up there for us. Yeah. See what that says. USA Concrete Coatings.
Because you're right.
I can't read it. I can't read it. Look, is Amanda Smith King very pro lottery, or is she giving us some info?
It just says in FY 2020, the Texas Lottery transferred $1.661 billion to the Foundation School Fund.
Now, what is the Foundation School Fund? That's what I want to know. What does it do? What does it pay for? $1.6 billion is pretty good.
Hasn't lowered our property taxes.
Absolutely. USA Concrete Coatings, 578 Home, Charlie Garcia and his team, and it is a team. It's not just Charlie on his horse with his guitar. They'll come out, they'll look at your situation. In most cases, in one day, they will clean, seal the cracks in your garage, and then put down a tough as nails polyurethane coating that will protect. It won't fade, it won't crack, it won't peel, it won't stick to your tires. It totally transforms your garage floor. They also do pool decks, patios, sidewalks, whatever. I mean, if grandma's sitting there, cover her up in polyurethane. Nobody will notice. She doesn't have any wrinkles. Reach out to Cheryl at the Great Barn, 920-6803. You know why? Because if you're going to have a party, it's not really a party if you have to do all the work.
And not if it doesn't look good.
So let Cheryl do that. Cheryl will show up, and that makes your party look good.
Parties are no longer just crepe paper streamers and a few balloons statically stuck to the wall.
Because there's a party on the patio.
More than that.
She can do more for you than you can do for yourself.
And she won't just put up crepe paper streamers. And
there you go. $1.66 billion.
She says it translates to about 25% of the revenue.
Okay, so
where's the other 75% of the lottery revenue going? That must be going to the general fund.
I don't know. I mean, Amanda, is that good? Call us right. Amanda Smith King. This is your chance for semi-mediocrity stardom. 361-575-9509. Give us a call.
Or at least, yeah, you seem to know more about this than we do.
Give us a call. Do it. Pick up the phone. 575-9509. Do it. She says, look, not calling.
Yeah, no, not calling.
Sorry. So, what are you, Canadian? She Canadian?
Must be. I must be rubbing off.
I just wanted to call. I wasn't going to argue with her. I wanted to learn what she knew. Yeah, she's got like the Google going or something.
That's kind of what I wanted to do too.
It's only an interactive show if you interact.
Yeah. Epic Times. Read them every once in a while. 66% pays prizes. There you go. Thank you.
Oh,
I was wondering what happened to the rest of that money. And then some of it goes to retailer compensation. Yeah, because retailers get paid a chunk if somebody wins.
yeah, they
right?
get like 10% of what you get or something.
I don't think it's that high, but I
It's
don't know.
not
Could be.
five-
I don't know.
Maybe it's 1%. Still a lot.
But the Epic,
5.2% retailer compensation. Hello, Brother
I
Gary.
peruse, the Epic Times, but this was one this is a story that really piqued my interest.
Should be good, folks.
Because this is going back to 2015 and Anthony Fauci and no, we're not doing any sort of, testing on the coronavirus in China, gain of function research and all that stuff.
We're not doing that.
No. Well, going back to 2015, France warned the U.S.
We were doing it.
Yes,
we're not doing it anymore.
No. France warned the Obama administration in 2015 about the Wuhan lab because it was at that point that China, who had cooperated with France to build the lab, up to that point, and then kicked France out, said, you are no longer allowed in this lab, and you will no longer have anything to do with this lab.
Neener. You're out.
You're out. And I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I understand the reason that some of these countries are involved is so that there's a little bit of transparency.
Right, that makes sense.
That government word that they love to throw around because without it, they're lying about something, right?
So people know, the other countries know that this is there.
Yeah. That what's supposedly going on in this lab is above board and the research is legitimate and they're not going to use the Wuhan lab to create a biological weapon that they could then unleash on the world in the fall of 2019 so that the world would have to shut down its economies
Correct.
in spring of 2020.
And they had no idea at that time how this thing might morph into the Delta and the Lambda and the Pi Phi and all the different sororities that it's turning into. It is. Here's a question nobody has asked.
So France told the U.S., hey, whoa, watch out. They kicked us out. Be wary. Shouldn't be funding anything. It didn't stop us.
No, because Fauci was the one controlling the funds.
Yeah.
He was. Sent him $3 million and change since then. I think what's interesting is nobody in any country that we've heard of yet has asked the simple question, are there more Wuhan lab type facilities around the world, and who controls them? Have you heard anybody ask that question? Do we really believe this is the only little rogue lab out there doing stuff that we don't really approve of now that it's killing people? By the way, did you see yesterday where Carl Bernstein, many of you won't remember, Woodward and Bernstein, Brother Gary taught them, Patty Welder taught them journalism at Patty Welder. Woodward and Bernstein being the upstart hippies that kind of pioneered and really broke the story on Watergate. That terrible thing where some people broke in and took some data on who it is. What was it? What was the not MacArthur? What was the candidate running against Nixon, who Nixon could have beaten with Joe Biden's level of dementia?
It's interesting though, right? They're illegally wiring a room to listen in on the meetings.
Yeah, now you just get a
you fake evidence to get a FISA warrant
and get the same
to spy
evidence
on your political opponents, and it's okay.
Yeah. So Bernstein and Woodward, they come in.
So far, we've come as
Washington
nation,
Post. McGovern, thank you,
Steve
Steve Kidder. So McGovern, that's how little chance McGovern had of beating Nixon. Nixon won like by the biggest landslide in the history of the world. And yet Nixon was so paranoid, which is what makes you think he always knew, that he had to know what was going on in their campaign. And at the very least was complicit in a cover-up of that evidence. And Woodward and Bernstein exposed it all those years ago, 50 years ago almost now. Carl Bernstein comes out yesterday and just blurts out that Donald Trump should be charged with war crimes, that he is our singular war criminal. That's where they're
What
at
war
now.
crimes did he commit?
And what war were we in? What war was he committing crimes in?
Should he be charged for killing Soleimani? Is that what he wants?
No, he's upset, Ash, because he says the war is a war that's raging with China, and that Trump's denial of the pandemic and his lack of proper action is what led to the murder of tens of thousands of Americans, and that Donald Trump should be charged with war crimes. Very interesting.
So let's not hold the Chinese Communist Party responsible for the fact that everybody in the world is now in agreement that this thing was created in a lab and
who said that?
Didn't get.
Trump said that.
Yeah,
way back a year ago, Trump said,
but I think
this is the China virus, and now we know that it is.
That probably came, to be honest, from Mike Pompeo and the Secretary of State and the CIA and all those doing the digging that, But, the consensus is this didn't come from some dude just getting hungry and going to buy lunch at the Wuhan wet market and having a bowl of bat stew, and all of a sudden everybody got it, right? No.
How many other labs are there, and who controls them? Are there any, even to a lesser degree, maybe more safe on our shores? Does the United States government tests on bubonic plague?
I'm sure U.S. AMRID, the U.S. Army research, I'm sure there's probably some stuff that
See that, Brother Gary? That's something that Ash knows about from his communist days when he was. That right there. That is top. This is why they're going to take him out, because he just blurted out some Cold War info right there, straight out of the KGB book, that it just came off his tongue like it was conversation. One day Putin's going to go. That guy in South Texas has to go. He knows too much. AMRA. I mean, you're throwing out NASA. You're throwing out NASA like lasers. You're throwing out acronyms and stuff, and you don't think that's going to get you capped? I just hope that it doesn't splatter on me when they're going to drive up with a 22.
22.
You're going to go down right behind your ear. Oh,
nothing.
What am I going to do with him, brother?
They want to create carnage, at least an M11.
Oh, the AK, drop it in the mud, it fires every time.
You might want to start your car first.
Right. I learned this watching television. If you go and you try to start your car and it kind of goes, whoa, 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 jump out, because all you're doing is arming the bomb. Get out of that car. You ever notice that? It's always like, boom.
My 77 AMC Hornet started like that every morning and it never blew up.
Get out and kick the left front tire and that baby'd start right up.
I couldn't do that because then the front fender would have fallen in.
Rusted out. I'm going to tell you the kind of woman Dawn Nicole is. She is the one that would, before she complained, she would get under there with a hammer and hit that starter a couple of times, to let those brushes get free.
Steve Kidder says he's really enjoying the last Wade and Carter show.
Right. The last week. Right, exactly. It'll just be Carter and no comrade. That's what we'll call the show. Carter and no comrade.
Because if I get my car first and start that sucker, everybody in a 2-block radius is going with me.
Crazy.
I've enjoyed my last show.
Then there's always a guy like James Woods to show up and go, you see the device? That's Israeli. That's high tech right there. There's enough C4 ash around here There's enough ash around here. Unbelievable. Folks, get out. Have a great day. Be good to your neighbor.
Be good to yourself.
Be good to yourself. All right. Y'all have a great day. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. It's called a Wednesday.